Let's talk about The Shining, which is actually going to be quite hard for me because I just finished the sequel, Dr. Sleep, which was pretty good, by the way. And one of the reasons I'm just now getting into The Shining, which is another video entirely. The pictures on it look really like old and like 70-ish. They really need to upgrade this, you know what I mean? They really need to upgrade the pictures. So the book came out in 1977 and was King's third published novel and his first hardback bestseller. Now in 1977, I think I was 4 years old and I was just learning how to potty like every other adult. Fast forward to 2014 and I'm still trying to learn how to potty like every other adult. But I finally finished the book, sometimes while pottying. I was just like you, I saw Stanley Kubrick's version of it on the telly and thought, okay, that's it, why even read the book? I mean, that's the story. I was fucking wrong, okay? Now, I'm not gonna go into the controversy surrounding King's versus Kubrick's version of it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's basically King's baby. The movie was visually stunning, but lacked character depth, and as King said, the disintegration of the family. In the novel, we get much more information as to what made Jack Torrance tick, what made Danny tick, you know, the little boy with The Shining. In the novel. Also, a lot of things are explained in the novel as opposed to the movie. Like when you see one guy in a dog costume giving head to another guy in a tuxedo. Like, what the fuck was that shit? It's basically the owner of the hotel from Days Gone Past. He's a bit of a kinky dinky. He had a guy dress up in a dog costume and basically ordered him around, told him to bark, sit, stay, and give him a blowjob. So there is that. I enjoy The Shining and dealt with rage and frustration and alcoholism like no other novel I've ever read. And being older, having a family, and have raised a child, it definitely hit home for me. And I'm glad that I didn't read it earlier in my life without those experiences of being a father and a husband, and then watching the bills pile up and frustration. And the novel really brought out a lot of those past emotions. And I could really relate to the character of Jack Torrance. He already had a booze problem going through white knuckle sobriety and a rage problem. The Overlook, which was the haunted hotel, and being snowbound was all that was needed to push his ass over the edge. The story is basically about a frustrated husband and father that was never really given a break, financially struggling to stay afloat. He was fired from his past teaching job for basically attacking a student that was slashing his tires. So being the caretaker of the Overlook Hotel was basically his last chance at professional redemption. If he screwed that job up, he was fucked. On top of that, add the woes of parenthood and husbandry. So the haunted hotel helped him snap. Okay, we get it. Everybody pretty much knows the story of The Shining. The little boy Danny Torrance basically had the psychic ability called The Shining. We all know this. He could read people's thoughts, he could see shit that was about to happen, etc., etc. But the ending of the novel was 100 times better than the movie. I know, Stephen King is supposed to be bad at endings, right? Well, yes and no. There's a reason this book was a bestseller. King, in my opinion, nailed the ending, so spoiler alert here. Go ahead and mute this bitch now if you're still interested in reading a book from 1977. Yeah, I'll wait, go ahead. You done? Good. Okay, here it goes. Instead of running like a little bitch into the maze to hide from his deranged father, Danny actually cowboyed up and stood up to his father. It was like, bitch, you ain't gonna do shit to me. You're not my dad. It's the hotel making you do this shit, so fuck off, bitch. Actually, in the book, it's rather an emotional and touching scene. Jack Torrance, the father, pretty much comes back to reality, well, a little bit anyway, and starts beating himself to death with the fucking mallet. Somewhere in that asshole rage-induced brain of his, he really didn't want to hurt his son. Then they escape, the hotel blows up with Jack in it, the end. That's it. Hey, if you want more details, read the fucking thing. It's better than the movie, although I said the movie is visually stunning. There's even a documentary called Room 237 that goes into the genius of Stanley Kubrick. Personally, every Stephen King movie that comes out, albeit maybe The Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption, is basically shit. If Carrie put Stephen King on the map, Kubrick put Stephen King in the fucking stratosphere. You can't really take that away from Kubrick, because Kubrick is a genius in his own right. But in all fairness, the true record of The Shining is the novel. But I still love watching the movie because it's an oddity and a genius visual interpretation of the Overlook Hotel. So in closing, I'm looking forward to reviewing Dr. Sleep, which is a sequel to this bitch right here. And I think I read it in about 3 fucking days. I mean, it was pretty good. I literally couldn't put the fucking thing down. Well, as always, have fun out there, because if you're not having fun, you're snowbound with a demented man with an industrial-sized can of Vaseline. The movie was visually stunning, but lacked character depth, and that death. So being the caretaker of the Overlook Hotel was basically his last chance. So being the caretaker of the Overlook. On the last video that we did, hopefully I can match the audio up because I didn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.